Ethan Parker hadn't planned on starting over at 27, but the silence of his old apartment had become unbearable. Every corner reminded him of Caleb, laughing in the kitchen, arguing in the hallway, sleeping on the couch after another night of distance. So when the chance came to move into a place across town, he took it without hesitation. He told himself he needed space, but what he really needed was a life that didn't revolve around memories. His new roommate, Liam Hayes, greeted him with an easy smile the day he moved in, tall, broad-shouldered, and relaxed in a way that made the entire apartment feel warmer. Liam carried 2 of Ethan's boxes before Ethan could protest. The man had a presence, steady, patient, quietly confident. Ethan felt himself straighten around him, aware of his own exhaustion, his own worries, and the strange comfort of being around someone who asked nothing from him. They settled into a surprisingly smooth routine. Ethan had expected awkwardness, mismatched habits, maybe even a few arguments over chores, but Liam never made anything difficult. He cooked enough for 2 without announcing it, left encouraging notes on the whiteboard during stressful weeks, and always asked how Ethan's day went like he genuinely wanted to know. It was unfamiliar kindness, the kind Ethan hadn't felt in months, maybe longer. Still, the past followed him. Some mornings he woke up scrolling through old messages from Caleb, wondering where things had gone wrong. The relationship had ended long before Ethan admitted it out loud. Caleb withdrawing, choosing late-night outings over time together, reconnecting with someone he had once described as just a friend. Ethan felt the shift before he discovered the truth. Emotional infidelity had a way of leaving fingerprints long after the door closed. And now, every time his phone buzzed, he tensed, half expecting another attempt from Caleb to explain, apologize, or reopen wounds. Liam noticed the tension even when Ethan tried to hide it. One evening, after Ethan flinched at a message notification, Liam asked gently if he was okay. Ethan brushed it off, claiming he was just tired, but Liam's searching look lingered a moment longer. It was strange how seen Ethan felt in that split second, almost like Liam understood more than Ethan said. For the first time since the breakup, Ethan felt the pull of something new, something he didn't trust himself to name. Their days blended into small moments of comfort. They watched shows on opposite sides of the couch, but somehow always drifted closer by the end. They laughed while grocery shopping, argued playfully about which coffee brand was better, and discovered they shared the same love for quiet late-night walks. Ethan found himself noticing things he shouldn't. The way Liam's voice softened when he talked about his family, the way he pushed his hair back when he was thinking, the way he made an ordinary day feel grounded. The night everything shifted began with a sudden power outage. The lights flickered twice before the apartment went completely dark. Ethan groaned, fumbling for his phone, while from down the hall, Liam called out to let him know he was fine. A faint glow appeared from the bathroom, and Ethan followed it to find steam drifting into the hallway. Liam had lit a few candles, their warm light reflecting off the mist, turning the space into something almost cinematic. "Looks like the apartment turned into a spa," Ethan joked, shaking off the chill in the air. Liam laughed, leaning against the bathroom doorway, towel around his neck, hair damp from the steam. "Yeah, well, it's freezing. I figure a hot soak was the only solution." Then, with a teasing smile that felt half joking but half something else, he added, "If you're cold, you can join me. There's more than enough room." Ethan froze, not frightened, not offended, just unsteady. The words hung in the warm air, playful and light, but the moment held a weight neither of them acknowledged. Liam seemed to realize it too, his expression shifting, eyes widening just slightly as if suddenly aware how it sounded. "I'm kidding," Liam said quickly, though his voice wasn't as sure as his words. "Mostly." Ethan laughed it off, but the sound didn't reach his chest. He excused himself and walked back down the hall, pulse quickening with each step. He leaned against his bedroom door once it closed behind him, unsure why the simple comment had shaken him so deeply. Maybe because for a moment he didn't want it to be a joke. Maybe because he felt something warm bloom in his chest. Something he thought he'd buried when he walked away from Caleb. He stood there, listening to the faint sound of water and Liam humming softly, and wondered how a single sentence could unravel him more than an entire breakup. Something was changing, whether he was ready for it or not. Ethan woke the next morning with a strange mix of embarrassment and curiosity swirling inside him. He wasn't sure what bothered him more, the unexpected invitation, or the fact that part of him had wanted to accept it. He spent extra time making coffee, hoping the quiet kitchen would help him reset. But the moment Liam walked in, towel draped casually around his neck, Ethan felt the memory rush back like warm air from the night before. Liam hesitated for half a second, then offered a small, apologetic smile. "About last night? I hope I didn't make things weird." His tone was gentle, unsure in a way Ethan wasn't used to hearing from him. "It's fine," Ethan replied quickly. Too quickly. "Really, I knew you were joking." Liam nodded, though something flickered across his face. Something Ethan couldn't read. They settled into breakfast, talking about work schedules and bills, but an undercurrent hung between them. Every time their eyes met, Ethan felt something unspoken gathering strength, something neither of them dared acknowledge. Over the next few days, their routines became even more intertwined. They ran errands together, cooked simple dinners, and found themselves sitting closer during movie nights. Ethan didn't know when it started, but he began waiting for the sound of Liam coming home. He noticed the way Liam's laugh filled the apartment, the way he could make a stressful day feel lighter with one casual comment. It wasn't intentional, but Liam slowly became the safest part of Ethan's life. Still, the past clung to him. Caleb texted often, short, pointed messages asking if they could talk. Ethan deleted most of them without responding, but each notification stirred old wounds. He didn't want Caleb back, but he didn't trust himself enough to claim he was ready to move on either. And whenever the thought of Liam drifted into territory that felt too close to hope, guilt rose like a wave. One evening, as they stepped out onto the balcony with mugs of hot tea, Liam leaned on the railing and exhaled. "I used to hate balconies," he said with a half smile. "Bad memories from my old place. But this one feels different." "How so?" Ethan asked, quietly grateful for a conversation that wasn't about his own turmoil. "Feels calmer," Liam answered. "Feels like I can breathe here." Ethan nodded, watching the lights of the city flicker below. They stood quietly for a while, comfortable in the silence. Then Liam spoke again, softer this time. "I hope you know you don't have to pretend everything's okay. Not with me." The words struck deeper than Ethan expected. He opened his mouth, searching for the right response, but nothing came. Instead, he looked away, afraid that if he met Liam's eyes, everything he'd been hiding would spill out. 2 days later, Caleb showed up unannounced. Ethan was cooking dinner when the doorbell rang. He froze the moment he recognized a familiar voice calling his name from the hallway. Caleb looked almost exactly the same, coat unzipped, hair slightly messy, expression somewhere between guilt and determination. Ethan's heart stung in a way he hated. "I just want to talk," Caleb said quietly. "I miss you." Before Ethan could respond, Liam appeared behind him, stopping short when he saw the visitor. The tension was immediate, sharp. Caleb's eyes shifted between them, and something darkened in his expression. "So this is why you won't answer my calls," Caleb said, voice low and accusing. "You moved on already?" Ethan felt heat rise to his face. "It's not like that." Liam stepped forward, calm but firm. "He doesn't owe you anything right now. Maybe give him space." The words were simple, but the message was clear. Caleb's jaw tightened. "I knew it," he muttered. "I knew someone else had your attention." Ethan's chest tightened. It wasn't true, not the way Caleb meant it. But the accusation still hit its mark, igniting guilt Ethan had tried so hard to bury. Caleb left with a bitter shake of his head, footsteps echoing down the hallway until the door's swing faded. Ethan stood frozen, overwhelmed. Liam didn't touch him or try to fix it. He simply stayed near, patient and steady. Later that night, long after the dishes were washed and the apartment had fallen quiet, Ethan found Liam sitting at the dining table. The dim kitchen light softened the edges of everything, making the moment feel gentler than it should have been. "I'm sorry about earlier," Ethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You don't have to be sorry," Liam replied. "I just didn't like seeing him make you feel small." Ethan sank into the chair across from him, the exhaustion finally catching up. "About the bath thing, I know you were trying to lighten the mood. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I was just thrown off. Liam looked up slowly. Thrown off in a bad way? Ethan hesitated, then shook his head. No, just unexpected. A quiet understanding settled between them, warm and careful. Liam's expression softened, a small, hopeful curve forming at the corner of his mouth. I just want you to stop hurting, he said gently. For the first time in a long while, Ethan let himself believe that maybe he could. Ethan spent the next morning avoiding the living room altogether. He lingered in his room longer than usual, pretending to organize drawers that didn't need organizing, replaying Caleb's accusations and Liam's quiet protectiveness over and over in his mind. Every thought pulled him in a different direction. Part of him wanted to shut down and run, the way he always did when emotions grew too heavy. Another part wanted to walk straight to Liam and say every truth he'd kept buried, but fear held him still. When he finally stepped out, Liam was in the kitchen, making coffee with slow, thoughtful movements. He glanced over, offering a tired but genuine smile. Ethan returned it weakly, unsure how to bridge the growing distance between them. They exchanged a few polite words, but the warmth that usually filled the space had dimmed, replaced by something uncertain, something that felt like waiting. As soon as Ethan's phone buzzed, the fragile peace shattered. Caleb again, a long message this time, full of apologies and nostalgia, reminding Ethan their vacations, their inside jokes, their plans for the future. It ended with a plea. Please don't throw us away. The familiar guilt pressed against Ethan's ribs, making it hard to breathe. He walked out onto the balcony, gripping the railing as if it could anchor him. The message blurred in his vision. He didn't know if he was angry, sad, or simply tired of the cycle. He heard the sliding door open and close softly behind him. Liam approached but didn't speak. He stood beside Ethan, giving him space while still being there, which somehow made everything more emotional. Are you going back to him? Liam finally asked, his voice steady but undeniably vulnerable. Ethan closed his eyes. I don't know. That's okay, Liam said, but Ethan could hear the strain in the words. Just don't let guilt make the decision for you. Ethan turned to look at him, really look at him. Liam's expression wasn't angry or impatient. It was hurt, but open. That openness made Ethan's chest ache. He didn't deserve someone who understood him this well. He barely understood himself. I'm scared, Ethan admitted. It felt strange to say it out loud. I don't trust my own judgment. I don't trust that I won't fall back into old patterns. Liam nodded slowly. Being scared doesn't make you weak. It just means you care about the outcome. They went inside and sat on a couch. The apartment felt smaller than usual, quieter in a way that made every inhale feel louder. Ethan explained the pressure he felt, the expectations, the lingering loyalty, the guilt over moving forward even emotionally. He confessed he didn't want to hurt Liam, but he also didn't want to break promises Caleb kept dragging back into the present. Liam listened without interrupting. No advice, no frustration, just presence. When Ethan's words finally ran out, Liam spoke gently. Whatever you choose, make sure it's for you. Not for him. Not for me. You deserve a decision that brings you peace. Before Ethan could respond, there was another knock at the door. Caleb again. The moment Ethan opened it, the arguments began, soft but persistent. Caleb insisted their history meant something. He claimed he could change, that Ethan just needed to try again. He reminded Ethan how hard relationships were, how people made mistakes, how familiarity was safer than starting over. The same lines Ethan had once believed. But something felt different now. As Caleb talked, Ethan felt the same old pressure, but he also felt the absence of understanding. Caleb didn't ask how Ethan had been or what he needed. He only asked for another chance. Then Ethan glanced over Caleb's shoulder and saw Liam in the hallway. Quiet, not intervening this time, not defending, just waiting with calm, steady eyes. That's when it clicked. Ethan realized that Caleb wanted the past to return, while Liam wanted Ethan to heal, whether that meant staying, leaving, or choosing differently. And that difference mattered more than years of tired history. Ethan exhaled, slow and steady. Caleb, I'm sorry, but we're not getting back together. Caleb froze, disbelief flashing across his face. He tried one last time to argue, but Ethan shook his head. The decision was made not out of anger, not out of pressure, but out of clarity. Caleb left with a frustrated sigh, footsteps echoing down the hall until everything faded into stillness. The apartment felt lighter. Ethan turned toward Liam, who remained still cautious, almost afraid to hope. Ethan walked closer, feeling a softness settle in his chest, something fragile but real. "When you invited me to join you that night," Ethan said quietly, "it wasn't the bath that threw me off. It was the first time in a long while someone made me feel wanted, not pressured, not guilty, just seen." Liam's eyes warmed, relief blending with something deeper, something careful. "I didn't want to make things harder," Liam whispered. "You didn't," Ethan replied. "You helped me realize what I was holding on to, and what I needed to let go of." They didn't move closer, didn't touch, nothing dramatic, nothing intense. Just a shared moment of understanding, honest and unforced. The kind of moment that didn't need anything else. Ethan sat beside Liam, shoulders brushing just slightly, and for the first time in months, he felt his breathing settle. Maybe this wasn't the start of a love story. Maybe it was the beginning of healing. But as Liam's quiet presence filled the room, Ethan knew one thing for certain. He wasn't walking into his future alone.